Good afternoon and welcome to everyone listening and tuning in to our very first edition of Wellness Wednesdays. This is a dynamic program created by Selma Air in partnership with partners like Rural Health Medical Program. And I am so delighted this afternoon to have that she has taken the time out of her busy schedule to interview a sister leader friend of mine, Mrs. Cachet
Absolutely.
Dozier Smith. For everyone, this is a brand new process. You know, they're not used to Selma Air coming out of the box with talking about wellness in general. Selma Air is the nonprofit organization people know for providing prevention and care around HIV, but there's so much more to our wellness
Absolutely.
beyond just being HIV free and or living and thriving beyond an HIV diagnosis. So on our very first show, it is such a pleasure to have Mrs. Smith with us. Cachet, look, that's who I know you as. And because we're talking about wellness, we're not going to be formal here at all, but I do want to just quickly welcome you and thank you for taking time out today.
Thank you so much, Lydia. It is always a pleasure to work with you and also Selma Air on some of the great initiatives that you all have rolling out across all of our communities that we co-support across the Black Belt region. I think this is a wonderful initiative and definitely want to continue to support and be a part. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yeah. I couldn't think of a better guest to open this. And I literally, when I talked to our executive director about this, I'm like, no. And Cachet Smith is going to be the first guest because our agencies have partnered for years. And it's really important though for us to display this partnership and especially as Black women in health.
To
Um,
support one another,
yeah,
definitely, definitely.
absolutely. So the show is called Wellness Wednesday. And so the very first question I want to ask is what is your definition of wellness? Like when you think of the word wellness, what does that mean to you?
Oh, this is something that I'm taking very serious this year and making a part of my priority list for myself moving forward.
Yes.
But when I think of wellness, I think of finding peace and balance, finding routines that help me get centered and focused in
Yes.
my day to day. Because a lot of people may or may not know that I'm a mom of four, actually single mom now.
Yes.
And I do have a very large responsibility in our community of serving as CEO of an organization that serves 6 counties, 9 health centers. Outside of that, I volunteer like you on several boards and other organizations because I feel like it's important for women in our community to lead because we know when we are in leadership positions, change happens. But in all of those great things that we do, we have to take time out for ourselves too, because we're only going to be as good as we prepare ourselves to be. So for me, things that I have started doing is trying to be a part of this 5 a.m. club, which means going to sleep early,
Yes.
having more balanced meals, working out. I talk to you often, so I tell you that I've gotten up to 4 to 5 miles a day. And I take that time after dropping my children off or before dropping them off and kind of getting centered and prepared for the day. That brings me that peace, that wellness to go into um, the several Zoom calls that we have now due to the pandemic, or it helps me prepare messaging and support to my staff, whether they're on the administrative side or in the clinical side. And it also helps me kind of prioritize other personal things that I'm going to tackle on a day-to-day basis. So I would definitely say finding a regimen or a routine that works for you, but definitely incorporating some type of activity and movement so that your body is getting that release of stress, that release of endorphins that keep you active and keep you happy. And it helps with your thought process and getting you on a schedule.
So now all of us have not necessarily joined the 5 a.m. club. But what you said about making sure there's that balance, that we are keying in on the things that we need physically,
Mm-hmm.
mentally and financially. So, balancing all of those things and incorporating our relationships, because it's
Right.
nothing like having a great relationship with our family, friends, and colleagues.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about your professional service. You talked
Sure.
about being a mom of four, but professionally, if you don't mind just sharing with us some things about yourself. Like I know you're a Spelmanite.
Yeah. Sure. So, when people ask the question to tell me about yourself,
Yeah.
I'm like, who? Kishay, the mom, the
Right.
CEO, the board member. I forget about self at times. It's hard to talk about yourself because you represent so many other things. But I am a Spelman alumna. I graduated in 2008. My background is economics and business management. I've had several years in change management consultant. So when you talk to me, or if you ever have a chance of working with me, you'll see that I'm a process person. I'm always like trying to brainstorm and fix things. That's a plus and a problem in certain areas of life. Um, I'm also, if anyone is interested in astrology, I am a true Sagittarian woman. Um, so for take that how you may. I'm also a person, I love collaborating. I love working with other people. I don't think I have all the answers, but I know what I bring to the table. And sometimes it's the table, the chairs, and the tablecloth, and whatever snacks we go have.
Listen
Sometimes
here.
wine. But um, I'm also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, as are you.
Indeed. Yes.
Also a member of the Links Incorporated. Um, I am a board member of the YMCA and also a COVID advisory board member of the Black Belt Community Development Foundation. And recently, I was nominated as one of the top female leaders for the Women's Fund of Now Alabama,
Yes.
previously of Greater Birmingham. So somebody thinks I'm doing some great things, you know.
Yes. I
I'm
was about
just
to say, girl, if you don't mention that award that you just
I mean, to be honest, I'm just doing what's needed and what's required of me by God, to be completely honest with you, because
Yes.
I think when we sit down on what our calling is, Lydia, and you know this, we can procrastinate and we can take different routes, as many different routes as we want to, but it's all going to come back to doing what you were created and called to do. So
Absolutely.
with or without these awards, I know what my destiny is, and I know what I have to do, whether it's acknowledged or not. But I'm grateful for it, definitely, definitely.
And we can clearly see, at least I know that I can clearly see that you are walking in your purpose, and that you really lead a purpose driven life. What is your vision? Because we oftentimes can get lost in like the busyness and not think about the long term. And I know that you are a long term thinker. So what's your vision for the Rural Health Medical Program?
Oh.
A piece of it. Look.
I will tell you, my staff tells me all the time, slow down, Energizer Bunny. My CFO calls me that. Um, I feel like I'm trying to catch up the work to the 40 years of existence.
Hmm.
So in my mind, it's working from the inside out, fixing all of the processes and building up the teams and skill sets needed to better support the communities that we serve, reestablishing ourselves in the community to be a pillar of primary health care that all people can come to, regardless of their ability to pay. And I'm always trying
Yeah.
to differentiate. We do take care of those that are underserved, underinsured, no income, and we also take care of those that have insurance, and we treat everyone equal. And I know this to be true because I've had family members, I've had friends, I've had people in the community say that when I was in between jobs or when I could not work because I've had little ones and my priority was them,
Hmm.
we took care of them. And it's always great to see the success of now that I am employed, I do have a job, I'm still going there.
Yeah.
So for me, it's relaying the foundation or filling in those areas that are not as strong or they need to be strengthened, improving the relationships in the communities, and making sure that the correct story of what we do, who we are, and where we're going is actually being echoed in the community. And of course, I want to continue to grow. There are so many small communities that are satellite and considered rural that do not have access to healthcare. I think right now what COVID has taught me and has taught physicians that technology is definitely, it's going to lead us. So telehealth visits is something that we need to adapt to. Having partnerships with local municipalities that they have access to telehealth resources like, webcams, large monitors, libraries, or community centers. So if people cannot get 30 miles to the clinic, maybe we can have a partnership where we have a nurse or an MA come down and meet those patients where they are, work them up, and do telehealth visits for them. Also in-home visits, even though that is so old school, right?
It worked.
It works, and technology is allowing it now. So investing in remote monitoring systems that take care of those chronically ill and homebound patients. So for me, it's letting technology guide us where it makes sense, and also meeting patients where they are to get the access to healthcare that's needed. The other thing that's going to be very important to us is making sure transportation is completely eliminated. So you'll see early spring, we will have 2 mobile units.
Okay.
So we will have a large mobile unit where you'll have access to dental, mental behavioral health services, and primary healthcare services. As you do see with the current unit that we have, you would also start to see transportation buses where we'll go pick our patients up and also take them home and or to their specialty care services. And we're trying to broaden our network and renegotiate contracts for our patients to where if we have partnerships with a cardiologist in Tuscaloosa or in Birmingham or in Montgomery, we're able to negotiate them into our network. So our patients don't miss out and have to pay more out of pocket because they have to travel for that because we're in rural communities and we don't have access. So being patient advocates a patient advocate is very important to me, and making sure that whatever we can do, we do it for those patients.
Now, you just spoke to so many of the things that we talk about as barriers to being healthy and well. And so I'm truly appreciative, and I'm sure the community is truly appreciative of the contributions that rural health is making. But that's significant because you're talking about transportation, you're talking about expanding your network, and even making sure that your patients are able to get from your health centers to other appointments within a network of providers that you're creating. And that is a phenomenal opportunity for us to, as individuals, step up and be well. So I am super excited to hear that, and just really want to ask about any significant challenges, like as a leader, because all of us, anyone, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, right, or if you are a leader of health centers across a region,
Yes.
you
Yes.
can be a pastor, you can be any role that you play. There are going to be challenges, and there are going to be some extraordinary successes. So, starting with the challenges, what are some of the challenges that you have experienced as a leader?
Sure. Definitely my number one, having the right skill sets within my organization, I'm going to say. And I've been in other groups, like you either have the money or you have the opportunity or you have the skill set. So having all three at one time seems so foreign. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it where my staff and I, we play different roles, different hats, but I make it my business to learn each senior manager's position, because in any given time, if something happened, and I will say when I first started, I was CFO I did some HR work. I was also CEO, and I was doing operations.
Yes.
And our funder told me, you're not compliant because you can't wear multiple hats. So the conversations I had to have with my board members were, even though these certain positions may not have been here 10 years ago, 20 years ago, this is required. And we actually came in and did a technical assistance training so that we were all on the same page in agreement. We need to source for these positions. So having the right skill set, having physicians that want to invest and live in the communities where they are practicing has been also an issue. Getting people who are educated, receive their degrees or certifications to want to stay home has been a big barrier because we think that once we travel beyond our home zip codes, pay is better, access to resources are better, housing is better. And some of those may be. But I will tell you that several people that have gone and left typically come back, and they are welcome back. Or, they gain the experience and then they say, I want to bring this back home. Yes. So I never look at opportunities when people, because we support people, our nurses that want to become RNs and then nurse practitioners. Yes. Get your education, get your bag, honey or sir. We're in support of it. Yes. We just want you to make sure you're getting the best service to the patients and you're meeting your, job duties. But get your, higher education. We want to support that because we need those resources in our community. That's my biggest barrier, Lydia. And if I could pick a second, it will definitely be the perception of the organization. Sometimes people think that when it's minority led or female led, that there are several breakdowns. And I think any organization, it may be communication, leadership, like I just said, skill set, financial funding, things of that nature. I think as a CEO, in March, I'll be 6 years in. The same challenges that I walked into, those are still molding themselves and correcting themselves because we're still getting the right mix of skill sets. We're getting the right set of resources. We're getting all of the funding. You know how it is. Money has been pouring in over this pandemic, but you have to have the people in place to carry out the programming.
Capacity matters.
So, it's a culture thing. When you get the skills, you have the funding, you have the opportunity. Now it's reshaping the culture of the organization to be able to work at full capacity now and keeping up with that pace. So good problems, good trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And one of the things that you talked about, that you referenced as far as having the right people in the right positions, speaks so much to wellness, especially for people who are business leaders or leaders in nonprofits. Because when we don't have that, just like you referenced earlier, the balance, when we don't have the balance, that means that you have to take on more than than necessary. That executive directors can't focus on building the organization and making sure that the story is being told to funders and being participatory in community-based activities, because I'm over here, we got to paint the walls, we got to clean the floor, we have, just doing everything. So to have that, to be able to accumulate or to amass a team of people who are not only qualified resume-wise, but actually can carry out those things is a beautiful testament to being well. Because not only as individuals, organizations have to be well too.
Or, you suffer with burnout or people, giving up on the dream or the strategic plan. You really do. And it's important. It's important to take a step back and reevaluate yourself and your positions, your organization, your department, and get feedback, get input from the people that you work with, from the leadership above, from, people in the community that receive the services. And we're actually about to undergo an employee engagement evaluation of, position, department, leadership, engagement in the community, training and resources, because we want to put together a 30, 60, 90 day and a continuation plan, because I want rural health in the next 3 to 5 years to be one of the best places people say there is to work across the Black Belt. And I believe the way to do that is to have an inclusive and safe work environment where you feel like you can come in with your skill set, you can be yourself, you're learning, you're growing, you feel poured into, and you also feel held accountable, right, to operate in your skill set and in your position. But you also have that support system and you have those resources to do your job and or go above and beyond. So, I'm excited about this. At first, I was nervous. I was like, well, people are always going to point out the negative. But you know what? You turn negatives when you look at a SWOT analysis, right? You got your strengths. I see that word weaknesses, but weaknesses are opportunities. You see the threats. Threats are going to be opportunities too in my book. So it's always an opportunity to move the weakness and threat to ways to strengthen the organization. So I'm excited, very excited.
So when you say opportunities, we have opportunities for success.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say have been some of your major successes as a leader?
I would definitely say challenging myself to not just come in a leadership role, but coming in as a person that just wanted to learn. I took my I say first 3 years, but even to this day, I've learned a lot about the organization, the leadership before me, the staff before me, and I've been able to identify people's skill sets, right, and place them in positions where they've been most successful internally on my team, and also helping stretch others that are in clinical roles to do more leadership work. One of my biggest things was grant writing. I understood how to form a business, how to run a business, how to support it, but grant writing, telling your story in a way to where you connect the need to the request, and then talk about the programming that's going to improve the outcomes in the community. That has been the biggest thing for me. It's something that was a very big challenge, but we didn't have it. So taking an organization that was bringing in about, let's say, $2.8 to $3 million, and we were at year 40 when I got here, to now at year 45. We actually turned 45 in October, but due to COVID, we're going to postpone the celebration. To almost $15 million, Lydia. Like that's a praise moment. You know what I'm saying? And I will tell you, through internal improvements in bringing our billing team in, our billing team communicating and educating our providers and nurses, through working with the auditor and hiring a CFO and cleaning up some of the internal financials, and grant writing. I challenged myself and my COO and CFO to, however much money the providers bring, we're going to double it in grant money. And it's on. And we do. For the past 5 years, we have brought in just as much, if not double, in grant dollars. Now, the issue is, again, the skill set people to what? Carry out those programming. So that would be something that I feel very, very proud of growing myself in since being in this position.
So now you're doing a lot to keep your organization well. And because the focus is on wellness of our physical bodies, today we're talking about our physical bodies. What are the services that Rural Health, for someone who is brand new to the Black Belt, brand new to a community, say like Selma, what can I expect when I go to one of your health centers? What services are available to keep me well?
Sure. So the first thing, prevention. We educate our patients on preventative health care. And that word seems like, what does that mean? Your annual wellness visit. Yes. That is the first visit we want to offer to you to establish a wellness report on you, to see what we need to focus on. Specialists, if we have to connect you to. We want to reconcile your medications if you're on them, to make sure that you're on the right regimen that your health conditions require. And if there are things like diet, exercise, mental health, that we can better shape and support for you for your own individual wellness journey, that's what you will expect on your first visit. The other thing is programming. We're always overloading our patients with, hey, we see that you're diabetic, or we see that, your BMI is kind of high. We have this Change Your Life, Change Your Lifestyle type 2 diabetes prevention program we would love to sign you up for. We see that we haven't seen you in 90 days. Is transportation an area? Like, all of this is in your workup. We're getting these questions so we can customize your wellness plan, customize the programs that are unique to you. We have a partnership with Tom Bigby or West Alabama Public Transportation. We would love to get you in more frequently due to this condition, and we want to cover those expenses. You can't pay, you know what? Front desk actually during their registration qualified you for one of our sliding fee scales based on your household income. And we want to offer this service to you at this price, right? Mm-hmm. Or we have a mail pharmacy program. It's a partner. If you are interested, you qualify, let's get you signed up. So we want to establish that first record of health. We want to connect you to programs that's going to keep you compliant and keep you well. And then when you walk out, you're going to walk out with several things. Whatever you came in there for, you're going to walk out with some patient education materials to read on your own. You're going to get your next appointment card so you can be in contact with your physician or that physician's nurse or nurse practitioner and nurse practitioner nurse. And you're going to do, we encourage you to do a satisfaction survey. We want to know what we could have done better to make your experience what you expected it to be. And for doing that, we enter you into a raffle to win whatever the gift is for that month. In the month of November, December is typically a holiday ham or turkey or a meal for the holidays. Other months, it could be a $25 gift card or gas card. So we want to establish that wellness visit. As we're working you up and communicating with you, we want to qualify you for as many programs to best service you and your family financially and health-wise. And then we want your feedback on your experience with us, right? And then we want to reward you for coming.
Well, now you all are going above and beyond, but it's a beautiful thing, because when you think about being well in rural communities, like you said, some of the barriers could include things like transportation.
Right.
Not knowing that you have access to programs that can provide transportation, but then not knowing that you have access to things like mental health care services.
Absolutely.
Right? Preventative services, programs that speak directly to diabetes, which the Black Belt, we are burdened with that. Black folks are commonly, and now the Black Belt just happens to be the home to a lot of Black folks. So that's not where the Black Belt part came from. But I have to explain that all the time. Like, it's not the Black people, it's Black soil.
Yes, right.
Right. But to think about the burden that we carry across the Black Belt of being more obese than other parts of the state, having higher percentages of diabetes diagnoses or hypertension or high blood pressure, even cancer, but the things that you all have in place to help us get well and stay well are phenomenal. I do want to just ask quickly, what's one thing that you just wish that people in the community would just get about rural health?
Wow. So many. We want to be your provider of choice. We want you to choose rural health regardless of where you are in your life, because we're strategically placed here to help individuals that look like you and I and those that do not in their primary care health journey. So we want you to choose us because we are choosing to be in this community to serve you.
Awesome. So last question, and this is about you. So we're going to step out of rural health. What do you do for self-care? We've heard this term thrown around. Listen.
Okay.
In the last 2 years, we've heard this term thrown around, and it is definitely, self-care is a part of what we're building into Wellness Wednesdays. So we want to equip people with ideas. Right. So self-care it's not selfish to care for yourself. You have to recharge that battery, right? So
You
what do
do.
you do to recharge?
Well, my little routine consists of I've really gotten into affirmations.
Yes.
We follow each other, so I post them daily
Yes.
because they help me, and I share them because I want them to help someone else. You never know where a person is in their life and how motivating, kind, real words will help them with whatever they go through. And not only do I read them and post them, but I journal, and I reflect on what I'm getting out of that and what I need to work on. And typically, when this process is happening, like after the walk and meditate, and I'm going through and I see that daily affirmation and I journal. I'm very into scents. I love candles, so it's relaxing. And for me, having that moment, being in that moment, it really centers me and brings me peace, because I'm pretty sure 15, 20 minutes later, it's a phone, it's a text
Yes.
message, email, it's a mommy, it's something. But I enjoy the fragrance that's relaxing. I appreciate, there's a young lady on Instagram called, I think it's J Ivory,
Mm-hmm.
and she is a digital content creator, and I just want to shout her out because her daily devotionals is like a three-part: is self, life, what you're speaking into the
Yes.
world for yourself. And I journal on that, and I make sure I hit all 3 points, and I hold myself accountable to those things. And so I hope when I share that it's blessing someone else and it's helping someone else meet their self-care, their goals too.
Absolutely. Well, I started following her on Instagram when you talked about her, and she really does those the affirmations that she posts. Like you said, they dive into what we're speaking, and so
Hmm.
often we aren't speaking wellness into our lives, and
Right.
that's exactly why Selma Air felt like, hey, listen, let's use this platform to do some
Definitely.
good outside of HIV. Right now, are we still dedicated to serving the preventative needs and for folks who are living with HIV? Absolutely. But we also realize that there's a need for us to express and talk about and bring in and relate to people in other ways. So I am
Yes.
super excited that you have taken time out today. Any closing thoughts you want to leave with the people?
Absolutely. You've given me so much praise. And Lydia, I just want to say that for some people that don't know, like Miss Chapman mentioned, Selma Air works in our clinics, and they make sure that they not only target our patients, but they educate them and they share all the services that they offer. And it's not just HIV awareness, prevention, treatment. It's also, like we were talking earlier, STI, STD.
Hmm.
There's also counseling services that are offered. There's also educational opportunities for our adolescents and teenagers in the school systems and any audience that will be welcoming. So if that's a junior college or university in this area, I've witnessed Ms. Chapman do an amazing job with reaching out to those individuals to facilitate conversations. Because when we don't create those spaces for people to get educated, to ask questions, to have access to resources, we're going to see those infections and disease rates continue to go up. And we don't want that. We want people to be equipped with knowledge and resources so they can make the best decisions. Because not all people, regardless of the age, have that type of support system or access to resources within their own homes. And an organization like Selma Air, they're equipped to provide that. So I think with every opportunity, this platform, and other work that you're doing in the community, you're definitely bringing these services to people that actually need them. So I thank you for your work and your leadership in the community.
Oh, thank you so much. Again, it is always a pleasure. Look, we talk on and offline, so so it is honestly like it's refreshing, right, for us to be
Mhm.
in this space,
It is.
having girlfriend conversation, but helping other people walk through, right, and get through, and know that there is, we got to enjoy the journey, and then just
Right.
and
That's
keep
the thing. Enjoy your life, that journey. And that's hard to do.
yeah,
I can't, I'm learning how to
yeah,
exist in those moments. That's a
yes,
part of wellness too, because you
it
can
is.
plan your life, rush your life, but if you don't enjoy the journey, you miss out so much.
Absolutely. So again, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. And I want to thank each of our viewers. Y'all, please make sure you share this information. We've learned a lot about Mrs. Smith today and about rural health. You can log on to Rural Health Medical Program, and it's rhmpi.org to learn more about Rural Health Medical Program. You can schedule your appointments online. You can give them a call if they have a toll-free number, right? So don't say that, well, my phone, nope, nope, nope. 1-800. You can call and tune into yourself and spend some time just getting well. So again, I want to thank each of you for tuning in and listening. Please make sure you share this information. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say it's actually rhmpi.com. It
Uh-oh.
was org, but it's rhmpi.com.
Okay.
It may redirect you, but it is .com. We redid the website about 2 years ago. Sorry about that.
Listen, wait a minute, but this is good though, because and now it actually is in the chat. So if you want to log on to the website to learn more about the programs and services that are available, y'all click that link and it'll take you straight to their website, rhmpi.com, and check out all of the great services. Y'all, we have got to do better about checking into ourselves, checking on ourselves, and checking on our people. And that's what Wellness Wednesday is all about. So thank you for tuning in. rhmpi.com. Log on, tune in, and check on your health. Until next Wednesday, y'all be well.
Thank you.